friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about some new collections from Juvia's place. We have the blushed and bronzed collections. I don't have every single thing from these collections. I believe there are some lip products. There are also a bunch of variations of the cheek product. I purchased mine from Ulta and I just got the 2 eyeshadow palettes and then 2 of the cheek palettes. Let's start with the cheek palettes first. The artwork on the blushed and bronze collections are probably some of my favorite packaging designs that they've done. These are just interesting and very, very pretty. The blush and bronzer palettes are the exact same size and shape. They have the exact same layout. Both are heavy-duty cardboard with magnetic closures. Both have a mirror inside. The pans are the exact same shape and size. Everything about these packaging-wise is exactly the same. However, there are quite a few differences once you really start digging into these palettes. There are 4 different color options for the bronzer and only 2 color options for the blush, at least so far. They may expand the collection further. The price is also different. The bronzer palettes are $18 a piece. The blush palettes are $15 a piece. At first, I was kind of taken aback by this because they are the exact same shape and size, but I noticed on the back, the bronzer palette is made in the US and the blush palettes are made in PRC or made in China. The bronzer palette also only has a 12-month shelf life and the blush has a 24-month expiration date. So those are some of the differences that I noticed, and that probably is why there is a bit of a price difference. So I'm in no way saying that, you know, one is good and one is bad. It's just that is a difference that's printed on the box. Both of the powders in each palette are matte finish. I have the light bronzer palette and the volume 2 blushed palette. You will get to see the blushed palette in action during the demo. I'm not wearing this bronzer today. I'm actually testing a different bronzer today. But I do want to go ahead and show you swatches of these palettes. These are just quick finger swipe swatches on my arm. I only do 1 or 2 passes over, so that way you can see all these colors laid out together. Now let's talk about the eyeshadow palettes. We have the blushed rose and the bronzed rustic palettes. These are both priced at $14 US a piece. I noticed some very interesting information on these palettes as well, so I want to go over that first before I show you the swatches. This is the blushed rose palette. This is what inspired my nail color today. You know I love a good matching nail moment. A couple of things to note here. We do have 5 out of the 6 shades in this palette marked as pressed pigments. Only 1 actual eyeshadow in here, which just means that these need to be patch tested before you wear them on your eyes. I'm a big fan of patch testing. If you're not sure what in the heck I'm talking about, go check out my ColourPop wine collection video. I talk more about it there, and I will link that in the description box for you. Better safe than sorry. Just patch test this palette before you use it on the eyes. Something else that I find interesting is I think there's a typo on this palette because it has the exact same tagline here at the top that the bronzed rustic palette has, and it makes more sense for that little blurb to be on the bronzed rustic palette. It says a beautiful selection of bronzed, versatile, and rustic shades that can be worn any day. See, it says the exact same little blurb on the back of both palettes, so I wonder if this is some sort of large-scale typo or if I'm just totally off base and these are both supposed to have the same little tagline. I don't know, I just thought that was funny. In the bronzed rustic palette, we only have 2 out of 6 shades that are pressed pigments, so just make sure that you patch test these 2 shades if you're going to be using this palette around your eyeballs, just so that you make sure you don't experience any irritation, because that's no fun. We don't want to do that. Looking inside the blushed rose palette here, we have 2 shimmer shades and 4 matte shades. Same thing in the bronzed rustic palette, 2 shimmers and 4 mattes. We do have a little bit more color variety in this bronzed palette, a bright coral, this kind of mustardy yellow. So I think that's really fun. This is the palette that I'm wearing today, so you'll get to see this in a demo soon. Let's go ahead and take a look at some swatches of these eyeshadow palettes now. I will be doing both finger and brush swatches. All the swatches are done on the inside of my arm with no primer down first, just the shadows straight onto my skin. All of the finger swatches will be pictured on top, and then each corresponding brush swatch will be directly below. All of the brush swatches are done with my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush. I just use a dry brush for my swatches, and then I clean off the brush in between each shade using my Viramono color switch. That way there's no shadow transfer between swatches. So let's take a look at those swatches now. Now that you've seen the shadows swatched, let's take a quick look at a demo using the blush palette and the bronzed Rustic eyeshadow palette for this look that I'm wearing today, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. Overall, I've had a really good experience with all of these products so far. Overall, just for my personal taste, I do prefer the eyeshadow palettes over the cheek palettes because these are really matte. For my skin type, which is very dry, and for my personal style, I do prefer more of a luminous, glowy, shimmery cheek product. So these are nice. The pigmentation, the texture of the powders, everything's really, really nice. And if you like matte face products, you're probably gonna love these. That just doesn't really fit with my personal taste. So definitely not bad products. They're just not like the perfect fit for me. However, I really, really like both eyeshadow palettes. The shadows are pigmented, but they're not so soft and pigmented that they're difficult to work with. They're just that right balance between being soft enough to get a really smooth, lovely color payoff from, but not so soft that there's tons of powdery fallout. I like a matte shadow, particularly a deeper or brighter color matte shadow, to be more of a buildable layering type of shadow. That way I don't feel like my look gets too out of control too easily. I feel like my eye look turns out a lot nicer, a lot more blended when my matte shadows in particular are more buildable versus just really, really inky, opaque shadows. Just as a matter of personal taste, I prefer the bronzed Rustic palette. I'm a big fan of a mustardy eyeshadow color, and I just find this combination really interesting. There are these two fun, bright matte colors, this mustard yellow and then a really, really bright pop of coral, but nicely grounded by some warm neutrals. I think this is a great palette, especially if you are somebody that hasn't done a lot of color, maybe you've been intimidated by color. This is going to be a good way to dip your toe in, all in one little palette here. I also like that the pops of color are in matte shades and not just shimmers. That does lend a lot of versatility to this little palette. I see this being great for summer looks. I do like the blushed rose. These rosy pinky colors are very classic. They're very flattering on a lot of people, and this is definitely a nice color comfort zone for a lot of people. But I'm just more drawn to this color combo, and I see myself using this a lot for some really fun but easy summer looks. So of all 4 palettes that I picked up, I think this is my #1 favorite. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these collections. Are you interested? Have you picked anything up? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. What? I forget what I was gonna say. Classic Amanda. Do, 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 do. Shh. What? Where do I start? Both the brush and bronzer. Nailed it. Maybe I'll save that for later. Things. What? Huh? Let's try that. Let's start that over again because that was a mess. I'm back on being hooked on my lifter glosses again. I need a drink of water and I need to calm down because I've had way too much coffee today. And I need to charge my camera battery, and I need to tell you that I love your face so much. Thanks for watching. You're so cute, cool, and awesome, and I'm glad you're here, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye.